All right, Republican Darrell Issa says there might be grounds to get a special prosecutor going to look into whatever ties and contacts Russian officials had with possibly Trump team officials. But that was not the view of Devin Nunes, the man who runs the House Intelligence Committee. The chairman telling me a few minutes ago on this very broadcast, not now, doesn't see a reason for it now, and everyone could take a chill pill right now. Fox News anchor, former defense attorney Gregg Jarrett on that. You know, Greg, I was hearing what he was saying, and then I'm hearing what his ranking minority member is saying, and I'm hearing what Nancy Pelosi is saying, and Democrats are saying, and some Republicans are saying, to jump on this because you got to remove all doubt. What do you think of this?
Well, you know, this seems to be a dubious story in search of a crime, quite honestly. Yes, it's a crime to hack a computer system. There's no evidence that Donald Trump or associates ever assisted the Russians in doing so. It's also a crime to tamper with an election, but you got to look at those statutes. That talks specifically about voter intimidation and destruction, for example, of ballots and so forth. This is a far cry from any of that. You know, the vague accusation is that there were conversations between Trump associates in the run-up to the election with Russian and maybe Russian intelligence. But according to Nunes, you know, he hasn't seen any evidence of that, and I think it's highly doubtful that you ever will.
You might be right, and you're the lawyer. I always defer to you on those matters. But here's what sticks out like a sore thumb, Greg, or what they say sticks out like a sore thumb. You had President Obama in his final weeks here kicking 35 Russian diplomats out of the country because they intervened or said the evidence intervened to the point in our election, not that it could have turned the results, but that they were very much involved in trying to hack our election. Then, lo and behold, the normal tit-for-tat response you see out of the country who's getting its diplomats kicked out, they didn't respond in kind. Vladimir Putin did not respond in kind, which led some to believe, well, that's weird, and that must have involved some conversations that, look, we're going to, you know, not go crazy on sanctions against you. All those rumors began to fly, and it looked weird that we didn't see the Russians respond, and that alone warranted, you know, talk and gossip that maybe only an investigation could confirm whether there was a connection. What do you think?
But it makes sense because, you know, if you're Vladimir Putin, you just want to wait and see what the new president is going to do. So, you know, you keep your powder dry. You know, the accusation has been that Michael Flynn violated the Logan Act, which prohibits a private citizen from interfering with diplomatic disputes. Well, you know, first of all, he wasn't acting as a private citizen. He was acting in the capacity of the incoming government about to be sworn in. So there's no violation of the Logan Act there.
Has anyone ever been, you know, brought up on charges of violating the Logan Act? It's been around since the 1700s.
1799. Nobody has ever been prosecuted, largely, Neil, because constitutional scholars and lawyers and judges universally regard it as unconstitutional. It's nothing more than a jeopardy question, and there's no violation of the Logan Act here.
All right, no, but obviously Chairman Nunes says there's nothing to indicate right now that he has been aware of or sharing with us now any untoward conversations regarding the Russians and deals and all of that. But we'll never know, Darrell Issa says, unless you get a special prosecutor involved. What do you make of that?
Well, we got rid of the independent counsel statute, allowing it to be expired. It's been replaced by a special prosecutor. It's actually just a separate, unique agency of the Attorney General's office. The AG actually appoints the individual. That person has unfettered authority that is akin to the Attorney General himself. But here you've got a real problem because a lot of this involves classified information, national security data, and so forth, which a special prosecutor doesn't have clearance for. Who is better equipped for that? Probably the intelligence committees themselves. They do have national security clearance. But, you know, it's way too early at this juncture, it seems to me, for a special prosecutor to be named. Jeff Sessions would want to be able to have a conversation with the intelligence chairman and find out what they have and determine for himself, and he seems to be an honest and honorable man, whether or not it merits a special prosecutor. Let's say you get a special prosecutor, Neil, and an indictment is had against somebody. You got the problem of the Sixth Amendment and a public trial, which is a requirement. And with all that classified information, you couldn't have it.
Wild stuff. All right, Gregg Jarrett, great seeing you again. I have a feeling we're not done with this drama. We shall see.
Not by a long shot.